Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This year has been a tremendous test of my endurance. I feel in more ways than one that I have met my limit. And I think that meeting your limit is a great thing. You just need to be able to come back from the edge of your capability without too much injury. The most difficult and surprisingly multifaceted lesson that I have had to learn this year is that my time is among one of the highest values in my life. And I want to be clear on what I mean by time. I mean time that is spent doing things that I condone or choose. It means balancing my time with others. And fundamentally, it means having enough time. It means learning how to measure how much time is appropriate for certain things. And from what I have observed as someone who is chronically late, regularly in a hurry, and often flustered beyond belief because of those two things, it means a lot more time. A hell of a lot more time. And to live a life of beauty, that's perhaps more time than is conventionally acceptable. It means simplifying my life so that I have ample time to properly enjoy each individual thing or execute something. For example, my YouTube videos. These projects that I share with you guys every week should be enjoyable, but in the beginning, they were not. They were something that I knew I had to do, but I did them last minute, and that would stress me out. I still struggle with this problem. It takes a lot of unlearning this behavior. And I think that if you have been subscribed to me, especially since the beginning, I think you'll notice that there has been an increase in quality of my videos. They're nowhere near where I want them, of course, but that is because I allowed myself way more time to create them, which makes the process way less stressful and more pleasurable. It doesn't feel like I'm working. I used to give myself a few hours or a day to do my old videos. Now they take multiple days of segmented preparation. And I just can't go back to the way that I used to do things either. The standard is just much higher now. As it is with the pursuit of beauty, of course. And when I rant to you guys on here, I get to rant to you guys on here about beauty and ugliness, the philosophy of those things, of solitude, individuality, share with you guys all these little tidbits of esoteric knowledge that I just have accumulated in my brain that I find fascinating. That should not be stressful. It shouldn't be stressful for me to share those things with you. It should be something that I take pride in and find enjoyment in. And a proper amount of time to execute. I really feel for those like myself and worse who have been swallowed up by their jobs, their obligations to others, their circumstances, or even because we've succumbed to bad habits and misuse our time to have almost no or very little treasured time with ourselves. No time for the appreciation of beauty, no time to sit and contemplate and settle into a state of peace that doesn't involve alcohol or other substances. And to me, I think the most upsetting of all, this was one of the main things that I learned this year about time, was when your affairs in your life become so numerous and they're placed really close together. Each individual thing, whether it's wonderful or dejected, gets equalized with the rest, and moments stop becoming special. You stop enjoying each individual thing for what it is at that moment in time, even if it's something that you look forward to all year. That makes me feel like I'm being cattle prodded through my life. And it makes me very upset when I, let's say, have a trip planned and I go on this trip and I just feel stressed out because I had 1,000,001 other things that I needed to do, and there were too many events lined up or projects or whatever lined up that I put myself into that situation that I can't even enjoy what is supposed to be pleasurable to me. That is sad. And this reminds me of my boo, Camille Paglia. I'm going to mention her again. But when she went to the publishers with her book, Break, Blow, Burn, which is a collection of short essays on some of the greatest poems ever written, she requested that each poem was singled out like had its own space in the book, and not jammed up against a bunch of an analysis that came before it or another poem. You know, it had like a full break between the poem and the analysis or any other information. This like blank space of separation gives the poem room to breathe. And she mentioned the reference for this idea was because anthologies on poetry are often like this, where poems are so close together that they hardly are able to be differentiated from one another. In her book, that space, giving the poem room to breathe, gives the poem its own stage, its own moment in time. And that's exactly how moments in your life should be, not products on an assembly line. Now, my goal, as someone who endeavors to treat beauty with almost religious reverence, within the next year, I'm making plans to actively reorder, restructure, and distill my life so that I can get the most out of my experiences. Whether it's preparing wrapped gifts for Christmas so that you can truly enjoy the activity of giving and wrapping and making something, preparing something for somebody so that it has the best effect, right? Doing that like 2 months ahead of time, or giving myself like multiple days to do it. This means even like not listening to like my favorite record, or not always indulging in my favorite food. Maybe it means not going to an art show overseas after I just visited another friend 3 weeks ago in a different state. Even if there won't be another show like that for years, maybe it's not making as much money because maybe I want to have more time to myself, not working. Maybe I want 1 or 2 days off in a row. Maybe I want 3. Maybe I want more, the continuity of ecstasy to last longer than just 24 hours or 48 hours or, a weekend. Dare I say that? Beauty is about sacrifice. Beauty and enjoyment in life, contrary to belief, always requires sacrifices. And the greatest value is your time. So based on the measure of time allotted to each lovely thing in your life, you soon come to realize that beauty and indulgence have very little to do with one another. A beautiful thing requires individual attention. A beautiful thing is so lovely that it gifts us with something absolutely extraordinary. It stops time. So I'm going to bring up Plato's forms again because I think they're really cool, and I just started diving into them 3 months ago, and I'm obsessed with Plato's forms. Call me traditionalist or empirical or whatever, or I'm naive, but I think they had something right with that. I think the Greeks had something going on, okay? I know that it's been refuted constantly. It's constantly being refuted that it's actually a very empty concept, or that it really doesn't solve any problems. But I don't know. I'm going to talk about it. So when you witness a beautiful thing, according to Plato or Socrates, we're talking about the Republic here, and I'm also talking about Plotinus and the Aeneads. When you witness a beautiful thing, your soul communes with an atemporal form of beauty. The forms are these perfect essences of things that do not decay or change. The things that we perceive on Earth are called particulars, or I've heard them called articles. Those things are physical, imperfect imitations of those forms. However, what's really cool is that what we consider beautiful on Earth does bear resemblance to the forms enough for us to have these incredible transformative reactions to them. According to the Greeks, whenever you enjoy beauty, you are kind of ejected out of your physical body and come to exist for a moment in the realm of forms, of perfect, immutable things. And our soul, which originates from that place, finds kinship in the small illusion to the forms that we see in the material, visible world. The little piece of the essence of the form that exists in the particulars or the articles. So I would say this is why when we get a glimpse of something atemporal, like a form or the essence of a form, this is what causes us to feel this stopping of time. A beautiful thing causes us to feel like time has stopped because we're coming into contact with something which does not decay because of time. Like, isn't that a wild phenomenon? Like, somehow, like, we like step out when we witness a beautiful thing. We step out of like this space-time continuum thing, and that is kind of, because we're human and we feel the things that we do, somehow it's translated into our world as feeling like time has stopped. A beautiful thing does that really wild, extraordinary thing. And in the process, it also makes other things, bad things, feel less substantial or bothersome. But in order for something beautiful to offer you this gift of literally communing briefly with something perfect, you need enough time to be fully present in front of beautiful things. Beautiful things are fine, slight, easily missed, especially if you're rushing around. Beauty often emerges in subtle environments. I think a good example would be like the beauty of everyday life, of the monotonous, or the little things as they call it. And they're references the little things because they're easily missed, they're easily discarded, and one has to actually pay attention and remember in order to appreciate those things or to transcend their meaning. And of course, yeah, there are beauties too that can stop you in your tracks. Your heels will definitely screech to a halt at a massive cathedral in France or England, I can assure you. But then, even so, time must be allotted to pay respect, to stand in awe, to truly appreciate what you're seeing. And I remember watching Killers of the Flower Moon, and there's this great scene where Ernest and Molly Bernhardt are first getting to know each other, and they're drinking, they're sitting down at a table, and a thunderstorm is rolling through. And Molly asks Ernest to put his drink down and to be silent while the storm passes. And she says to be quiet because it is powerful. Now, I know that I might be mixing like beauty and the sublime here a little bit, but the principle still stands. And even whenever, this is very interesting in my findings, beauty's etymology is quite confused one. The word beautiful comes from either bellus, which is charm or something pretty, or bellum, which means war. There's debate as to whether or not, I guess, the beautiful and the sublime can be considered the same thing, but I digress. Just something cool that I learned. A beautiful thing deserves a prolonged period of individual, undivided attention. This way, perhaps it gives your soul time to connect to this thing, to the form, the essence of the form in this thing. There is no move on to the next. Saying that, I think, is extremely important. Whenever you do witness a beautiful thing and time stops, you don't taint your experience with what happened before or what you're about to do after this thing, after this experience. Beautiful things, when appropriately regarded, locks you in the present, perhaps an eternal or infinite moment, and so that the past and the future are no longer part of your human experience. Because again, you're coming into contact with something that has nothing to do with time. It doesn't degrade because of time. It doesn't change. The perspective of it doesn't change because of time. The stopping of time, removal of time altogether, is a kind of a forgetfulness, or literal removal of past and present. Time is the most important value, because if you learn how to manage it, it brings value to just about anything that you come into contact with. I mean, the value of money, the appreciation of value on your car, inflation, equity, food, cosmetics, surgeries, cell phones, reinforced denim, friendships, our love lives, you name it. All those things I mentioned and everything else that you experience have looked at, touched, interacted with in this world, in this material world, they have value as a consequence of time, because things degrade. The quality of your life has everything to do with the amount of time that you allot to things, to experiences, and to people you love and care about, your relationships. Beauty reminds us to pay attention, to slow down, to take that virtue and to apply it to other parts of your life as well. I speak heavily about beauty because it is the center of my work, but what beauty teaches extends far past seeing like a Qing dynasty vase in a museum. The perception of time, I'm sure we've all felt this, is elastic. The faster you run through your life, the more numerous your affairs, and the less you experience beauty, the quicker you die. I'm a proponent of putting a stop to that. I want to play tug of war with life, and as often putting a stopper in as often as humanly possible. I'm not here on earth to get as much in as possible. I'm here for a good time, for a long time, with a few beautiful things. That's all I gotta say for today. Just really want to like simplify my life. That's basically what I'm gonna be doing. Is it's gonna be like a few things, and I'm gonna pay extra attention to those things and give them as much time as possible, like elongate them so that I can have time to discover other things about them and explore them in more depth, I guess, than you would if you only had if you only had like a day or a couple of hours to experience something, or less, whatever seems short. It's also like time too changes, right? Like your conduct of things. Not having enough time makes you careless. It can easily mishandle whatever it is that you're doing. And that goes against everything which is needed to maintain beauty. You need to be delicate and aware and deliberate, purposeful with beauty and beautiful things in your life. Otherwise, you drop them and they break. And that metaphor extends past like a porcelain cup or a vase or something. And don't be like crass with things in your life because you didn't give yourself enough time to treat something with proper care and respect, right? As always, everything that I do I'm making this video because I have this issue. This is a huge issue for me. I feel like I've been in a rush since I was out the womb. Holy moly. This has been a stressful couple of weeks, extremely stressful year. Happy holidays to all you guys. I hope you guys had a good year, and if it was a bad year, I'm happy it's coming to a close for you and there's a rebirth right along the horizon. A lot happens in a year. A lot to learn. I feel like this year was like being baptized in fire in multiple different categories of my life. Anyway, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Please comment your thoughts, what you thought about this video, and I don't know, share your experience this past year if you so desire. And take care. Good fortune to all of you. I feel like I'm talking like it's New Year's Eve or something, but yeah. Take care. See you next week.